My name is Makumbi Solomon Kabuye. I'm a man. I don't just identify as one. These days things are confusing. Ndi musajja Muganda, neddirange akabiro ku nguvu. Nsibuka mu kyalo kye bayita Jinzi kiri Mityana. Ne tujja byogerako mu maaso eyo. What I do, however, I'm a lot of things. I'm an EdTech specialist, which means I integrate technology into education and curriculums. That's for both international and our local curriculum. I am also a cloud engineer for AWS, that's Amazon Web Services. And I'm a remote worker, so just a bunch of children, educational materials, and computers. I still have my sight though. That's why I don't have glasses. Where did I grow up? I grew up in a lot of places. I grew up, I think I'm one of the few people in my age that have lived in different generations. So I have experience of our fathers, our experience, and the Gen Z, Gen Alpha experience, which is very interesting. So I grew up in a small village called Bukasa in Muyenga. That's when I'm in the city. But we used to go to the village a lot, almost twice every year, for a long time. It was a punishment, but we gained out of it. And our village is in Mityana. The village is called Jinzi, that's my father's side. Then Gomba for my mother's side. How did it sound like and how did it feel like?
Yeah.
I'll start with Bukasa. Bukasa, it's very loud. So a lot of pollution, a lot of cars, bakuba mainja. So it was just very chaotic.
Yeah.
That's my city home. We had a lot of children around growing up, which means a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I grew up in a house where everyone did everything. So this morning, kufumba chai, which means ebikopo everywhere.
Yeah.
Twasiza chiboko zize, those things. Another day you find me cleaning the compound. When at the same time you're hearing our other siblings fighting over small things. So like that was the city home. I come from a family where we were raised by a single mom. And everything we have learned or everything we were doing was really self-motivated, where everyone had to count on each other to make the homework because she's a private chef and she was not always at home. So whenever you would be at home, it would be your responsibility to make the house move. So it's not mbunze ngenda koza bintu gwogenda kusimula nyumba. No, it's not like that. A nyumba nchafu gisimule bintu bichafu. Like you have to do something. Kubanga nomala nakomayo wakanga go watudde nga basigadde bakoze oba owedde. So even that should be a motivation to do a piece of everything. Yeah. From my childhood, the first thing that comes to my mind is a game that we used to play a lot as kids called Round Game. It was a game birthed out of Kwepena, but we would draw circles and lines and we would play in groups. It tested our trust issues, but that's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's one. What's the second one?
The second one would be the amazing food that we used to have growing up. Yeah. I remember a lot because of my mom. We used to eat a lot of bougie food, which was really just normal food cooked better. But that's something that cannot get out of my mind because we enjoyed nice food.
Nice. The third one, I'm going to limit you to 2 words. So 2 words, only 2 words. You can only use 2 words.
2 words?
Yeah. First thing that you remember, get it in 2 words.
I would say jackfruit. Those are 2 words.
Jackfruit.
Oh, it's 1 word. Jackfruit. I think it's 1 word. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll take it as 2 words.
Okay, eating jackfruit.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
Younger siblings, all of them are old. I'm one of the youngest. So I was singer. They have children. I'm a rich uncle. But I must teach their kids.
So you teach the children.
I played a lot of games growing up. I think the fact that I'm also a man, I was a boy, we were very active, very dirty, got into a lot of trouble. Some of the games that we played that made our childhood fun were, like I said, the round game. that is what really connected the neighborhood children. Because back then when we used to go to the village, it was really remote, where I would have like only 7 homes on I don't know how many acres of land in the village. But in all those homes, you'd have more than 10 kids. Some of them got their town children that come for holidays and everything. So I remember every single end of the day, you do all your chores for the day. Then at the end of the day, we'd gather all the children in like a collective, one of the houses. And you draw your lines and circles and you play a lot of games. We had Duru, we had the round game. We would play, for the boys, we'd play a lot of make-believe, where I would do guns and play all these action movies we're watching, Chuck Norris and all those things. Hey man, you get, I don't know what they're called in English, forgive my English. Nayenga ofune ebitoke, nembitematema, nembigatagata nemukole mundu nene. So, man, we were the guys back then. So those were some of the games we were playing. But some of them were violent, some of them were nice. I remember I got married at a very young age. I was given a wife. So we used to call that toko toko, where you'd get married, you'd be in a house, and of course a made up house, and you'd cook food, you get burnt in the process and everything, you eat raw food, you get stomach upsets, but all that was a beautiful experience. So we played a lot of games. I can go on and on. One specific, I'd want to teach all of them, because I think I like to believe that I learned a lot of things from these games. For example, my motor skills. We teach motor skills. I'm an education consultant as well, so I teach children. But we teach motor skills now using a lot of different things for young children. But I think I got my first experience of my motor things playing games like Dulu, those things where you learn to target and shoot and play with. There's a game we used to play where you put a circle, you put stones in, then you do those things. People know, so people that are watching will relate to these things. So this taught us how to do a lot of, use our hands, look up and, gesture work and everything. Yeah. So I would want to teach my kids a lot of these games, not just for the culture bit, but because a lot of the skills I have as a person, my communication skills and stuff, came out of these games. Because even as a teacher, I believe that children learn best when they're comfortable, and that happens when they're playing. So a lot of us learned everything we know, and they stayed as core memories because we learned them through play. Compared to sitting in a class, this is how they draw a circle. We draw a circle, but you're going to put stones inside. So your hand can naturally draw a circle without a round thing. You get it? Yeah. So I'd want to teach them a lot of these games.
Okay, interesting.
I think the only game that I used to play then that we still play now would be cards, Matatu. But what we play now, what we bond with over, food and everything with the boys and some other friends I have, is of course video gaming. FIFA, where I get to beat people and people get to beat me. Mostly beat people. Then let me see. We play a bit of charades. When we go out to get active, we do extreme adventure park games. You go target shooting once in a while. You do a bit of paintballing. So man, it's just a bunch of white people things. So we don't really play what we used to play now. But it works because times have changed really. Yeah. Some of these questions are going to bring me problems. I think I'd want them to get the games as raw as they were when we were growing up. I understand the times have changed and some of those things might not apply. For example, we used to have a lot of free land to play all these things, and homes back then were standalone homes where you'd have a compound and everything. And even if you're so many people, you still have a lot of space to do or be a child. A lot of dangerous things everywhere that you get to experience yourself. But right now, I think with the changed times, people live in apartments and, to even find green pasture somewhere in an apartment, there's pavers. So like, when is a child going to eat that and they know that is that, those things. So I'd want them to experience the games exactly how we did. Because right now, off my mind, I can't think of how we can change some of those games to fit today. And the games they play now, I think have caused a lot more harm than good, I must say, because I have experienced children that the age I was back then with the things I was doing that don't know how to speak to people, that have zero social skills, that don't know how to express themselves, simply because all they know is a console and their parents, and even their parents are like 40% in their lives. The 60% is housekeepers, which housekeepers come from different places. So you find a child, omwana bamuyita, tugeze bamuyita senkubuge, naye nga ebintu byamanyi abiyigidde ku housekeeper who's, let's say, northerner, nga ye ebintu ebyabwe ebya culture yabwe talina kyamanyi, naye nga mubuuze things from the north, they're amazing at it because the parents are not that present, not because it's their choice, but because they're really busy. Because with the changing times, the need for survival has become great, and a lot of parents at the moment have to work way harder than our parents, I think, used to earn a living. So, yeah, I don't know if I've answered the question.
Yeah, you've given like good details around
Cool.
it.
So I can answer that in two ways. I can answer that in a personal way, from like my family lineage and everything, or I can answer that in like general perspective of the stories they used to tell us. But I think I will answer that from like a personal perspective.
Yeah.
So the story that I have fresh in my mind, that cannot get out of my head. So my grandfather was a vet, and back then he was, how do we call them? He was so he told us a lot of stories about the NRA and how that's National Resistance Army, which is day-to-day NRM. So that transition of power from, I think it was Obote to Museveni and everything, he was there in that time. So we got to hear about that story to its depth, to its the most raw it can get. That's from the way they used to go to school, like our mothers and fathers used to go to school through land mines and everything. And maybe a lot of it was exaggerated, but so he was a high value target back then. And he used to survive off of literally traveling and staying in different places. So he told us stories about how he's a cattle keeper. He was a cattle keeper. He passed, I think, about 2 years ago. And he used to hide in his herd of cattle when rebels, who are now the UPDF, would come looking for him and everything. So it was very scary times. So the way they were raised, the way they grew up, I cannot forget those things because I think they got to experience guns and violence and death and all those things head on. So even the way he would talk about all these stories would be from was a very nice man, but he was a very hard man. He died, I think, at the age of 96, but he would still ride a bicycle, he would ride a motorbike, he would walk long journeys, longer than some of our Gen Z kids and everything. So, yeah, I think stories around the change of power of Uganda stay fresh in my mind from him because he got to experience it firsthand. I remember the very first time I got on Facebook. I was in, I think, S2. That was my first time to get onto Facebook. And it's a very vivid memory because I remember my first password, my first name on Facebook, and the person that opened that account for me. And my life changed that day. Because I did a lot of bad things. I won't go into the details of the bad things, but just know it was more harm than good. So before that, like I said, we were very social people and everything. You'd really rely on physically relating with people. But the first time I got introduced to Facebook, it was by some guy who used to call himself Lugaflo. That was at a school called Kololo High School. It was it's a normal government school. And that's where a lot of kids that don't exactly have money back then used to go to school. And my first password was, we had a group, a clique called It's called Swaggers 256. I don't know why we were called that. My first password was Swaggers 256. Not a very smart idea. Now that I'm an IT specialist, I'm like, your group was Swaggers 256. Your password is also Swag. Like, make that make sense. And my first name on Facebook was Morgan Wheezy.
Yeah. Morgan Wheezy.
Mostly because I was inspired greatly by what's his name? Lil Wayne. He used to call himself Lil Weezy. So my name was Morgan Wheezy. But how that influenced me as a person is I got to meet a lot of people off Facebook, a lot of good and bad people. I remember I got maybe Mr. Editor can cut this part out in the post-production. But I got my first encounter with a woman or with a girl over Facebook. I got my first girlfriend over social media. I got into a lot of bad groups and peers over social media. I became a bully over social media and all those things where you'd say a lot of things and mean things to people. And you things that you wouldn't say in person, right? But because we're hiding behind this screen where you know this person probably never meet me, you'd go ahead and abuse and do anything you can, you know. And it was good times. It ruined my social abilities, but it also did a lot of good for me because I met people that I know now, people that I still speak to now over Facebook. So that was a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
Back then, stories were passed on from generations, people to people. So there would always be as if like security of authenticity in the story they're telling. The most they could change is just a couple of little details, you know, where someone might say, I used to go to school, ngatuita munsiko. Another person comes and says, nga munsiko mulimu empologoma. Another comes and says, ngeze empologoma zitu goba. Like, it will still stay the same story in try to ita munsiko. Nenga just story ayongeddemu soup, what we call soup. You get it? Yeah. But then the authenticity of the story would stay. How that is different now is you almost can't keep information authentic with the internet. There is encyclopedias, which are like digital libraries, but where I can also go and I add information on top of information that's already there. So I've seen a lot of information getting polluted over like the internet. So how kids get stories these days is mostly through libraries, through the gadgets and tabs, through virtual assistants and all those things. So yes, it is good, still as good for this time, but I wouldn't say it's as authentic and as core as it was back then, because there's just something about you relating with a fellow human. Because they used to tell us very scary stories back then, just to even not let you go out at night. They tell you to, like, over a bonfire, that chinechalo by the way chilika bases ata basezi bali nenga tekuli basezi, but just because they don't want you to move out at night, right? But right now, how are you going to stop a child from breaking, let's say, the basic house guidance or like guidelines and everything? You know, back then they used to do that through authentic storytelling, where you still get to learn about cannibals, but then they get keeping you from doing bad things using those stories. But right now, it's just it's like you getting a nice milkshake and you pour a lot of water in it, and it's still a milkshake, but it's more water than milk. If it was like specifically a space I'd have to gather a lot of grandparents and parents as employees in this place.
Yeah, I mean, it could be if we could imagine it possible, so it could be as big as imagination as.
So if it's me imagining it, I'm seeing only old people working there, and I know they're supposed to be retired and everything, but it's not a lot of work. Just come and sit on the chair and just tell us about yourself. You know, I'd want it to be as raw as possible, to almost have no tech in it, almost have, of course it can have the basics like security things, CCTV and all those things to keep children safe, but we don't need tablets, we don't need TVs, like it can be outside. We don't need fancy chairs. Get stools or, get mats and let people sit down and cook authentic traditional meals for the children. Where you have a menu that has pasta, Bogolese, it has pizza and everything. Take our matoke, take our bulo, take our like those things, and let the children have that as meals when they come to that place, And I don't think it's something that should even be paid for, because money makes things complicated. So if I'm in a place where, let's say, I've hit a Bill Gates grant, that is a thing I would do without thinking, and I'd make sure it's free access. I'd make it sustainable in a way, but make sure that any person can access it at any one point. Where, let's say we have, you said I imagine to the detail, we have regions in it. We have the northern region, the western region, the central region, where people can go to these different regions and find all the things that happen in those regions there. Where there's people that can tell you about food, people that can just tell you about their life stories. He's going to clock into work, sit and wait for whoever is coming to just say what's up. Tell me about yourself. Ask random crazy questions. How old are you? I'm this old. So what did you do at my age? Story I started. You get small things like that. But yeah, man, it's a big vision. But I think the point for me would be, it has to be as easily accessible as possible. Because we are losing our culture, and it's sad. So when you bring religion into that, it becomes even more complicated. It's culture versus religion, and what is good, what is wrong, what is satanic, what is not. I come from a place, or from a lineage of very, very selfless people. So sometimes an act that is almost stupid to you and this small can be the reason for someone's change. And I've seen that happen so many times in my family, where you just give someone food, like just a basic meal, and that person vows to help out in the house for I don't know how long, where you just have someone stay over a night, and before you know it, it's not like being indebted to that, but you feel the need to pass on the good deed. And the fact that you do that so selflessly makes you almost not want anything in return. So what I have learned, and what I do as a person even up to now, is I give of myself. You could ask a bunch of my friends, they can testify to this, that I give a piece of myself so freely and selflessly that I don't care what you do with it. If you want help, I am always going to be on speed dial. You don't need to pay me for that, because all the things I have, the work that I do, the opportunities I've gotten all these things very freely. I not earn them. So I don't believe that anyone has to work so hard to earn your love as a person. Love should be given freely and selflessly. It's not earned through work and those things. Yeah.
Now is the time. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.